smartphone or tablet. The other big story, one day after the NAACP calls for transparency, Portsmouth police chief speaks up.
You saw that news conference about 2 officer-involved shootings live this morning on wavy.com. Chief Ed Hargis said he would not identify the police officers involved in those shootings from March and last week, and he has the law on his side. He did say the internal investigation is on hold.
Now, the chief did talk about the officer pictured on posters around the city. Those posters call for the arrest of Stephen Rankin, an officer cleared of charges in the shooting death of a suspect back in 2011. We have 2 reports tonight. Chris Horn is digging into who put up those posters.
But first, Jason Marks is live with more on what the chief had to say. Jason?
Nicole, Chief Ed Hargis did not have to have a news conference today. He didn't, but he decided to. And that was because he wanted to show that his department is not hiding behind any questions.
The information I can provide, I'm providing, and that I'm trying to do that as much as possible.
With allegations swirling that the Portsmouth Police Department lacks transparency, Chief Ed Hargis is firing back.
We are in the process of conducting the investigations to find out clearly what happened, why it happened. If what happened is a violation of law.
Hargis has asked the state police to come in and investigate 2 recent officer-involved deadly shootings. One where a drug suspect was shot inside his own home. Police say he had a gun. The other last week in a Walmart parking lot where an officer shot a shoplifting suspect after a struggle.
Once their investigation is complete, the findings of their reports will be presented to Ms. Morales, the Portsmouth Commonwealth Attorney, and she will have an opportunity to review and determine whether or not to pursue any criminal charges against police officers that responded or involved with these 2 incidents.
Hargis says by law he doesn't have to release the names of the officers involved. Plus, he doesn't want to tamper with the state police investigation. One officer's name that has been thrown out there is a familiar one. Hargis wouldn't confirm that Officer Stephen Rankin fired the shot that killed a man outside Walmart, but he did say Rankin is currently off the streets on administrative leave. Rankin might sound familiar because he shot and killed a suspect back in 2011.
That investigation was also conducted by the Virginia State Police at my request.
Rankin was cleared of any wrongdoing and in 2014 was allowed to return to full-time duty. And something else that was interesting that came out of today's news conference, the chief said that he asked state police to go ahead and expedite the 2 investigations because of the climate in the United States right now. That's the latest here in Portsmouth. Jason Marks, 10 on your side.
Our team coverage continues now with the story about those posters that caught the eye of a lot of people in Portsmouth.
They call for murder charges against an officer currently on administrative duty and who's been cleared in the shooting of a suspect 4 years ago. So who put them up? Then on your side's Chris Horn talked with a local activist who claims it was not him. Chris?
Yeah, Tom, Michael Muhammad says he's not the principal organizer this time, but he supports the message nonetheless. He says the people who did create the posters and T-shirts called him for help. Activist Michael Muhammad says he's not the catalyst behind a campaign of posters and T-shirts calling for a Portsmouth police officer to be charged with murder. He says it's the work of high school and college-aged people from the city who asked him for guidance in getting the message out.
We want the charge so that it can play out in a courtroom and people can hear the facts for themselves and make a determination in the form of a jury.
Portsmouth Police Chief Ed Hargis says the message is dangerous and puts every officer on the force in jeopardy.
We don't agree with that. I mean, it's the practice of police departments throughout this country to take pictures of persons who are suspected in crimes and post those pictures with warning.
Muhammad has organized Don't Shoot rallies in downtown Norfolk and meetings at his location on East 26th. He called the current atmosphere here in Hampton Roads volatile. I asked him if it's as tense as Baltimore, scene of violence, riots, and destruction this week. He says he doesn't want that to happen here.
So either we take a case study from Baltimore and address those issues honestly, or we become the next example of what not to do.
So I asked Muhammad the key question: what will happen on our streets if the case does not result in a Portsmouth officer facing charges? He said he cannot predict the future. In the meantime, he says he'll continue to organize and mobilize and help others to do the same. Chris Horn, 10 on your side.
And Chief Ed Hargis did touch on the department's concern if violent protests break out in Portsmouth. He told 10 on Your Side he stands by the First Amendment and the right to peacefully gather. He would not comment on how the department is specifically planning to deal with gatherings that get out of hand. Right now, he says officers are tracking the source of any information from the public to be prepared if issues arise.
We will support any marches or protests that are legal and not violent. We will block traffic, escort people. We're making preparations for all those types of events.
Portsmouth police say the SWAT team was practicing today. We captured this video this afternoon. Police say this is part of ongoing training exercises.
So a lot of things are happening in this story. Here is the bottom line. Portsmouth's police chief says he is not releasing the names of the officers involved in the 2 deadly shootings over the past month. He did talk about the officer-involved shooting in 2011. That officer currently on administrative duty. That same one has appeared on posters around the city saying he should be charged with murder. Our coverage continues at 10 and 11 on Wavy.com, too. That's where you'll find today's entire news conference from police, as well as all of our previous coverage of these shootings.